Hey y'all, welcome to another one of our self-esteem mini convos. And today we have the Dr. Mel, as in a renewed focus, Dr. Mel, as in your ride or die for empowerment and self-discovery, Dr. Mel. That Dr. Mel, just in case you were wondering which one we had, this is the one we got. Hi, Dr. Mel.
Hi, Dr. Donna. What an introduction. I mean, if I needed to be hyped up, that was the way to do it.
Can you introduce yourself to the people?
I sure can. Hi, I'm Dr. Mel. No, my name is Melissa Robinson Brown, but I go by Dr. Mel. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist serving folks in New York and New Jersey. And if you want to get a little froggy, I can actually see people in over 40 states via
Oh, come
telehealth.
on, Interstate Compact. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Oof, man, I wear so many hats, which is probably part of my issue. But the main thing that I do with my group practice is I really want to help women who are going through that time in their life where they're just sort of feeling like, I've done all the things right. I've gotten the degrees, I've got the house, the car, the kids, 2.5. And, like, shouldn't I be happy? Shouldn't I have felt success? And they don't. They're feeling pretty underwhelmed and they're not feeling like they're tapping into their passion. So I like to help women transition into really feeling their most authentic self, stop following all those outdated rules, and feel more like the badass they were meant to be. Yeah, that's the main goal. And then I do a lot of other things, like assistant professor here, adjunct professor there, consultant there, speaking, you know.
Sounds like booked and busy.
Yes.
That's what it sounds like.
What it is. It's what it is. You start to go through all the accolades, you're like, oh my God, I could be talking for the entirety of this self-esteem combo, and then we won't talk about self-esteem.
Well, then, with that type of transition, we're going to transition into it. A question that I have started off asking everybody is, how do you define self-esteem?
It's a really good question. I think self-esteem is defined by, I'm going back and forth. So I'm going to say how you feel about yourself, but I think it's deeper than that. I think it's whether you feel like yourself.
Ooh, okay, good. Not just how do you feel about yourself, but wait. You got to say it again. Run it back.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not just about how you feel about yourself, but it's do you feel like yourself?
Do you
Right? I think
feel
so.
like yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Like, yeah, it's just like, do you feel like you are you? Like you get to show up as you and you feel that and that feels genuine to you, right? The extent to which you can do that, the extent to which you feel like yourself. I feel like there are moments sometimes when I'm like really in my like grounded in my shit,
Yeah.
like grounded in who I am, and I literally have like all the warm and fuzzy feelings. I'd be like, is this manic energy? But I don't think it is. I really just think it's like, yeah, like feeling like you.
Well, goddamn. I mean, thank you.
You're welcome.
Like I gotta sit in this
Yeah.
definition because I mean it hit hard. Not just do you like yourself, but do you feel like yourself? That
Yeah.
that's some different shit. So
Yeah.
then, what would you say is the difference? And this is a question that we've received from people who have been answering our question or our call for questions of like, what questions do you have about self-esteem? Someone wanted to know what the difference is between self-worth, self-esteem, and self-efficacy.
Mm.
Worth, esteem, efficacy.
All right. So the easiest one for me to start with is efficacy is just like how well you feel like you do things,
Mm.
right? Or so, and it's the task to which you set out to do it. Um, and I would add to that how good of a learner you can be because not all of us are good at everything, right? And so there are some things that we're going to set out to do that we might not initially do well, but it's about how well I can learn it. Like, do I trust myself that when you put something in front of me, like even if it takes time, like I can pick it up. So that's self-efficacy. I think self-worth is really about, oh, look, I ain't never seen them little like emojis. Yeah, doing fancy stuff. I wasn't ready. Um, self-worth, self-worth for me is like how valuable, like how do you treat yourself? How
Mhm.
valuable do you find yourself and how do you treat yourself? Like we can treat ourselves pretty shitty. Like we can talk trash to ourselves. We can have the worst self-talk. We can make choices in our lives that suggest to us and maybe even to the outside world that we don't put a lot of value on who we are and who we are in this world, right?
Mm.
So you can make choice, and that's for everything. What you're eating, how much you're paying attention to your health and your fitness, the friendships you're developing, the relationships you're getting yourself into, the jobs you're deciding to stay with, right? All of that is really about like how much value and worth do I find in myself? Like I'm not going to just take the job or deal with the people who are treating me like shit just because, right? So if I'm in that job and I don't feel good about it, I might not be able to leave immediately because financial pieces and security matter, but I'm planning my exit strategy because I know these people aren't valuing me and I hold myself in much higher regard than that. So, efficacy is how good you could do it and how good of a learner you are. Worth is how much value do you place on yourself? Um, and yeah,
Esteem.
and
Esteem is
esteem,
that. Do you feel like
feel. You
yourself?
feel like yourself in all of that, right?
Yes. Ooh, such
The
a
little trifecta there. Man, I like coming up with shit.
so then like you're a therapist as well as an educator. So based off your
Indeed.
experience as a therapist
Yeah.
and educator,
Yeah.
when do you know that someone has better or worse self-esteem? When do you know? Like how can you tell?
Oh, um, how do I know? Hmm. I mean, it's funny because yeah, it's listening to them. I can tell really quickly when I have a conversation. I can also tell pretty quickly based on appearance.
What's
Um, I mean, there's posture, appearance, like how you're presenting yourself, right?
Mhm.
It's not even just about the clothes. Like you don't need to be wearing the fanciest clothes either, but it's about taking the time. Like even if it's the most casual of outfits, like when you leave the house, you care, right? It's your posture. It's about are you looking me in the eye and saying, "Hi, my name is," or is there some, right? Head down, hand barely out. That for me is an indicator that something you're not feeling a level of confidence. You're not feeling a level of again, your worth, right? I like as it's interesting as we have this conversation and you mention those words that they're coming up as you're asking me these questions. Um, so yeah, I think appearance matters. I think it's just how you like sort of show up and present yourself. I think it's your posture. I think it's how you're talking about yourself. Like it's interesting, people have these like really coded words when they talk sometimes, right? They'll be like, I could never do this, but let me tell you this story. Or um oh, I'm gonna tell you this thing. It's probably gonna be like horrible, but I'm gonna tell you, right? So there's like all these qualifiers that come before, right? And there's this, I think there's a difference between, it goes back to that efficacy piece. Like, I'm gonna tell you this thing that I'm working on. It's gonna be imperfect, but I still wanna tell you, right? That goes back to that piece around like, even if I'm like for example, I know that you are learning French, right? I was like, did I just say the wrong language? No, it was French. But like there was like even in the beginning when you were just learning it and like practicing it and like talking about it, and now you're like, girl, you speak more French than I do, and I took it for 5 years. But this, but I think there's this level of I'm not perfect at it, but like I'm excited about my possibility of learning and getting better.
I dig. I dig. It feels like growth mindset.
Yeah. Hmm.
And it sort of
And a
reminds me
willingness.
of, oh no, what were
No,
you
no, no.
saying?
Go ahead. I just said a willingness to lean into growth mindset.
Mm, yeah. A willingness to try things even though you may not get it right the first time, knowing that you
Yes.
can try, you'll probably not do as great as you want, and then you'll do some more and you'll get better.
Yep.
And like, okay, I'm just like, okay, yes, yes.
Hmm.
Like that piece
Hmm.
about like how people sort of show up in the space and how they carry themselves, the things that they say. It sort of reminded me of, I was in a training recently with Dr. Raquel Martin, and she mentioned that during the Q&A, people kept saying, does that make sense? They would
Mm.
ask the question and then say, does that make sense? And it's just like, yeah, yes. you
Yes.
you make
Yes. Yes.
sense. Why are you adding a question mark to the thing that you said? Which also sort of brings me to like how sometimes people don't, maybe they don't like to debate with me or whatever, because I don't speak in question marks. I speak in definitives. It doesn't mean that you can't rebut what I said, but because I said it definitively, people think that I'm saying that this is the capital T truth. I'm like, no, most things are not the capital T truth. They are a truth, not the
Yes.
truth. So you
Yes.
can still rebut what I said. So, like, even in the book, I say definitively what I think self esteem is. But I also said that I believe that it is a view, not the view.
Hmm.
And that's part of the reasons, even for doing these interviews, because
Yeah.
I want people to see that there's a diversity in how we see, define, and move in self-esteem. That it's
Hmm.
not, it's not a one size fits all. It's more like, I think most of the time we're having the same conversation in various ways. And I'm just like, well, let's lean into some different conversations so that we can have a more robust understanding.
Hmm. 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 I agree.
But I think that if I didn't have secure self-esteem, I may not want to do that, because I would want to be seen as the person who is the authority and the most right.
Ooh. Ooh.
That came up for me based off what you said.
Yeah. Well, I think that is such an interesting point because this is where people get threatened, right? And like that scarcity mindset starts to come in when you think you have to be I think also in order to be relevant. And
Mm,
people want to be relevant because that feeds their
ego
sense of, yep.
and their sense of worth. Mm,
Yes, their sense of
look at you.
worth.
You got me percolating this morning. Okay. Well then, what would you say is the space between being a badass and having secure self-esteem? Is there a space? Like, are they the same? What are they?
Yeah. I don't think they're the same because I think, well, actually, I don't know. I've never actually thought about this, to be honest with you. Are they the same? I think badassery is really about like sometimes people will, because I talk about it so much and feel like badassery has to be like bold, vibrant, outspoken, right? Doing different things. That's my version of badass. But your version of badass may be like maybe I'm not using these bold colors or being the first one to speak or even speaking publicly, but again, man, do I feel like myself in the decisions that I make. So I parent the way I want to parent, not the way society tells me to parent, right? So if one day my kids are going to have chicken nuggets and the next day they're going to have kale, both meals are great and I don't need to be judged by any of them. So I think there's probably a lot of overlap between badassery and secure self-esteem because when you are living in your badass, it is really about like how you're feeling about you, that you're feeling like your most authentic self, that the decisions you're making are coming from internal um, internal needs, wants, and desires. It is not about society. It's about what's lighting me up inside. And so for everybody that's different and it gets expressed in a particular way, but I do think your self-esteem has to be secure, because when you are, this is the reason, when you're stepping into badassery, sometimes people are going to have something to say. They're going to tell you you shouldn't. They're going to tell you that's not the rules. They're going to tell you don't parent that way, don't live that way, don't do your hair that way. And you have to be secure enough in yourself to be like, yeah, but that's what I want. I feel like my most true self when I'm like this. So I don't really care what you say.
Ooh. Yes. Yes. That. Ooh, I like this answer. Thank you
Yeah,
for this
you're
answer.
welcome.
We are moving into our rapid fire questions.
Okay.
So it is yes, no, true, false, this, that type thing. There is no fence. Do not sit on it.
Okay. I like it. Sometimes I like to sit on fences. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, it's not good for your coochie or your booty. So no
Oh,
sit
ooh,
on fences today.
God.
All right. So there are only 4 rapid fire questions,
Okay.
but I want you to answer instinctively and just go for it. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Self-esteem is the same for everyone.
No,
Self-esteem is better built alone.
no,
Self-esteem plays a role in relationships.
yes,
Jealousy means you have low self-esteem.
no.
Well, dang. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Any of those that you are wanting to sprinkle a little extra on?
The jealousy one definitely like tickled me. Not tickled me, but struck me, right? Because jealousy is such a, first of all, like what a judgment to be like, because you experience jealousy, you have low self-esteem. It's a very normal, natural human emotion. I start to get a little itchy when I feel that people are like, you can't be friends with somebody who's jealous of you. Because
Somebody we know who is very popular said that. Very
I
sensitive.
know, I know, I don't like that. I don't like it for a lot of reasons, right? I think it's a normal human emotion. Now, how is people have to remember, like, emotions are just emotions. It's what you do with them that makes the difference. Like
Yes,
your
I agree with
emotions give you
you.
information. Yeah, emotions give you information. So just, okay, I'm feeling jealous of a friend. And let's also be clear, there's a difference between jealousy and envy. Jealousy is about potentially losing a person, right? It's usually like, I'm going to lose my friend too, their partner, their other friend, their job, whatever.
Mhm.
Envy is like, you have something and I would love to have that, right? Neither of them are problematic unless you do something crazy with them. So if I have envy of a friend because they've got a big house and a big car and I want that, so then I sit with that and I'd be like, I do want that. How can I get that for myself? What do I need to change and do? Let me talk to my friend and be like, girl, how did you get this house? Show me the steps, right? We do not lean, there's information. Like, so I don't think that's low self-esteem. I think that is normal human emotion. Sit with that, understand what that means for you. If it's jealousy because you think you're going to lose your friend, figure that out and go to your friend, like figure out what you need from your friend. Do you need reassurance? Do you need more time with that friend? Like, and then go ask for it. Okay, I'm done.
Thank you for
I
adding
got on
that
the
into the space.
soapbox.
Like, thank you for defining the difference between jealousy and envy, for
Yes.
normalizing them as just emotions, because I think that we do sometimes get it fucked up with the difference between thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. And
Yeah.
we are in a space where we believe that our feelings and our thoughts are our behaviors. We forget that we
Yes.
choose our behaviors, and that while you may not be able to choose your emotions, you can try to guide your thoughts and control your behaviors. You don't control emotions, you experience them. They're just information. I wish we could let go of some of the judgment, but when people have been outside telling you emotional and making it seem like that means that you are a person who can never be rational, I think that that's part of the problem. I think it's part of the problem.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, can you leave the folk watching with one tip at least, on how we can build up more secure self-esteem.
Yes. Finding things every day where you can experience a level of mastery.
Ooh.
And so what I mean by that is like they can be big or small, right? But mastery, us being able to master something, and by that I mean like do something, complete something, that really is a boost. It's a little boost. It's like, oh, it builds that self-efficacy, right? Um, and then we start to feel good about who we are, right? So it might be today, I want to try a new recipe. Whatever it is, good or bad. I've tried it. I've gone from start to end. I might make an amazing meal and then be willing to laugh at yourself if the meal doesn't go so well, right? But you did it. You set that goal and you accomplished it. I want to try 10 minutes of meditation today. I want to check in on a friend that I haven't talked to in months. I'm just going to shoot that person a text or give them a call, right? I'm going to go for a walk today. I never walk. It's sunny outside. I'm going to put on my shoes and go for a 10-minute, 5-minute, anything walk. But every day, finding something that you can experience a little bit of mastery, or we'll call it accomplishment on, because little by little, those create a cumulative effect. And we have to understand too, I think that self-esteem is cumulative. Like we have to keep building it over time and reinforcing what we've done. So that's what I would leave you with.
Oh, thank you so much for leaving us with that one. We have a map. Where can we find you?
I am Dr. Mel on all socials. You can also find me on iamdrmel.com. And yeah, I think those are the big ones.
Well, all right then. Thank you so much for taking the time to have this self-esteem conversation, for dropping these gems, for giving these definitions and giving us something concrete to sort of like sit and think about and just, figure out how we're going to integrate that. Thank you for that.
Thank you for having me. This was a fun conversation. Yeah, very easy. So thank you.
And for the rest of y'all, we will see you next time on the next Self-Esteem Mini Convo. Now, we are at a space where if you think that there's a conversation that you want to see happen like this with someone else, go ahead and tell us. Tell me so that I know who I could try to reach out to. I don't know people like that, but I can still ask. You never know. And make sure that you send your self-esteem questions so that we can see about getting those answered. All right. Bye.